Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're looking for the fastest way to sound like a baseball expert, you've come to the right place.
That's right. We're going to break down everything that happened yesterday in the MLB and look ahead to all the action coming up today.
No need to endlessly scroll through Twitter or refresh box scores.
We'll do all the heavy lifting for you.
And by we, I mean we're relying on the fantastic work of Frank Pereiro from Planeta Béisbol. You can find Frank on Twitter. He's at Frank Pereiro on there. And seriously, go give him a follow. You won't regret it.
Yeah, Frank's great, and we're lucky to have him. He and the whole Planeta Baseball crew put together these awesome recaps that we're going to be using today. So big thanks to them for making this deep dive possible.
Absolutely. Now, for anyone who wants even more baseball goodness, you got to head over to Planeta Baseball's blog. It's at planetabaseball.com. They've got tons of great stuff over there, analysis, opinions, all sorts of fun articles.
Definitely worth checking out. And you can also find them on Twitter at Planeta Baseball.
All right, so here's the plan for our deep dive today. First, we're going to run through the scores from all of yesterday's games, the ones that actually got played anyway, and pick out some of the key performances and highlights.
Then we'll touch on any big news from around the league, trades, injuries, that sort of thing.
And then we'll wrap things up with a look ahead to today's pitching matchups. We've got some really interesting ones on tap, so you definitely won't want to miss those.
So buckle up, folks. Let's get this deep dive started.
Okay, so Saturday, April 5th. The MLB schedule makers were hoping for a full 15 games, but Mother Nature had other plans.
Yep, the Cardinals and Red Sox were supposed to face off in Boston, but that game got rained out. I'll have to wait and see when they reschedule it.
All right, well, let's move on to the games that did get played. We'll start in Detroit, where the Tigers beat the White Sox 7-2. Reese Olson looked pretty sharp for the Tigers.
Yeah, he was dealing. 6 innings, only gave up 2 runs.
Solid outing. Anything else stand out to you from that one?
Well, Kerry Carpenter, he just keeps raking. Hit another home run. That's his 3rd in 2 days.
Wow, he's on fire right now.
Definitely seems to be seeing the ball well. Spencer Torkelson also went yard for the Tigers, so their offense is clicking.
Over in Minnesota, the Twins took care of the Astros 6-1. Jose Miranda had a huge game for them.
Yeah, he came up with a big 3-run homer. That pretty much put the game away early on. And then the Twins' bullpen was lights out. They didn't give the Astros a chance to get back in it.
How about the Cubs? They had a big win over the Padres, 7-1.
Matthew Boyd was fantastic for the Cubs. 6 scoreless innings.
Nice.
And on the offensive side, Carson Kelly had 3 RBIs, including a home run.
So the Cubs are looking pretty good so far. All right, let's head down to Washington, where the Nationals snuck out a 4-3 win against the Diamondbacks. Sounds like it was a close one.
It was. The Nationals got an early lead, but the Diamondbacks fought back hard. But in the end, Washington was able to hang on for the win.
Down in Philly, the Dodgers beat the Phillies 3-1. Roki Sasaki had another great start. Yeah, he's living up to the hype. Only gave up 1 run. And then Kike Hernandez and Michael Conforto both homered for the Dodgers.
That's a tough team to beat when they're playing like that. Over in Pittsburgh, the Yankees had a huge offensive day, beating the Pirates 10-4.
Trent Grisham led the way for the Yankees with 2 home runs.
2 homers, wow.
Yeah, he had a big day. And Anthony Volpe also had a great game. 3 RBIs for him, including a double.
The Royals also had a good day offensively, beating the Orioles 8-2.
Michael Garcia had a nice game for the Royals, drove in 3 runs.
Sounds like he's settling into that cleanup spot nicely.
And Seth Lugo pitched really well for Kansas City. 6 innings, only 2 runs.
The Rangers had a close one with the Rays, winning 6-4.
That game came down to the wire, but in the end, the Rangers were able to pull it out thanks to a clutch homer from Wyatt Langford, the rookie.
That's got to be a huge confidence boost for him.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The Mets had a dramatic win over the Blue Jays, 3-2. That was a back-and-forth game. Jesse Winker tied it up for the Mets with a 2-run triple in the 8th. Then Francisco Lindor came up with a sac fly in the 9th to win it.
And Edwin Diaz got the save. Man, what a game.
Hawk got a nail-biter.
The Reds had a big offensive day, beating the Brewers 11-7.
They were hitting everything in sight, 14 hits as a team.
14. That's impressive.
Yeah, they were on fire.
The Braves completely shut out the Marlins 10-0.
Spencer Schwellenbach was incredible for the Braves. He pitched 8 scoreless innings.
8 scoreless. That's dominant.
Yeah, he was in complete control. And then the Braves offense just exploded for 15 hits.
A 15-hit shutout, that's got to be demoralizing for the
This
Marlins.
is not a good feeling, that's for sure.
The Athletics pulled off a 7-4 win over the Rockies in Colorado.
That's always a tough place to win. But the A's came up with a big 3-run rally in the 6th inning and held on for the victory.
The Giants are on a roll right now. They beat the Mariners 4-1 to extend their winning streak to 6 games.
Matt Chapman had a big game for the Giants with 2 RBI doubles, and Robbie Ray pitched a gem, 6 strong innings, only 1 run.
And finally, the Angels beat the Guardians 10-4. They had 4 home runs in that game.
Yeah, Mike Trout, Logan O'Hoppe, Rengifo, and Soler all went deep.
That's a lot of power.
It was an offensive clinic.
All right, so that's a wrap on yesterday's games. Now let's move on to some notable news from around the league.
The Royals made a move, picking up Nick Gordon from the Orioles. Looks like they sent some cash considerations over to Baltimore.
Not a bad pickup for the Royals. Gordon's a versatile player. He can play all over the field.
Yeah, he could be a valuable asset for them.
There were also a few injury updates. The Diamondbacks are going to be without Ketel Marte for a while. He's going on the 10-day IL with a left hamstring strain.
That's a big loss for the Diamondbacks. Marte is one of their best hitters.
The Yankees added a veteran arm to their bullpen, signing Adam Ottavino.
Ottavino's a solid reliever. He's got a lot of experience. That should help them out.
But the Yankees also got some bad news. Luis Gil is going to be out for at least 6 weeks with a muscle strain.
That's a tough break for Gil. He was looking to have a breakout season.
And Max Scherzer is still on the IL for the Blue Jays. He's dealing with some thumb inflammation.
Hopefully he'll be back soon. The Blue Jays really need him in their rotation.
With Marte going down for the Diamondbacks, they called up Tim Tawa from AAA to take his spot on the roster.
It'll be interesting to see how Tawa does. This is his chance to prove himself at the big league level.
So we've got some trades, some injuries, a whole lot going on in the MLB. Again, big thanks to Frank and the crew over at Planeta Béisbol for keeping us up to date on all of this.
Definitely. Be sure to check out their blog and Twitter for even more in-depth coverage.
All right, so let's finish things off by looking ahead to today's pitching matchups. We've got a full slate of games, and there are some really intriguing ones on the mound.
First up, we've got Corbin Burnes making his debut for the Diamondbacks against the Nationals. Still waiting to see who's starting for Washington in that one.
In Boston, the Cardinals and Red Sox will be making up yesterday's rainout with a doubleheader.
In the first game, it'll be Andre Palante for the Cardinals against Sean Newcomb for the Red Sox.
And then in Game 2 is Miles Mikolas for the Cardinals against Tanner Huck for the Red Sox.
That should be a good one. 2 solid pitchers going head-to-head.
Down in Philadelphia, we've got Tyler Glasnow for the Dodgers going up against Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies.
2 really talented pitchers. That one could be a low-scoring affair.
Over in Atlanta, it's Sandy Alcantara for the Marlins against Grant Holmes for the Braves.
Alcantara is one of the best pitchers in the league, so that'll be a tough test for Holmes.
The Yankees are sending Will Warren to the mound against the Pirates, who will be starting Andrew Heaney.
2 young pitchers looking to make a name for themselves.
In New York, the Blue Jays are going with Bowden Francis against the Mets' David Peterson.
That should be another close one. Both teams are pretty evenly matched.
The Tigers have Martin Perez on the bump against the White Sox' Jackson Jobe.
Perez looked great in his first start, so we'll see if he can keep it going.
The Orioles have Cade Povich on the mound against the Royals' Chris Bubic.
Bubic has been dealing so far this season, so that'll be a good challenge for Povich.
The Astros will try to get back on track with Ronel Blanco on the mound against the Twins' Chris Paddock.
Both those guys need a good outing.
The Reds and Brewers will be featuring 2 young arms in Carson Spires and Chad Patrick.
It'll be interesting to see which one of those guys comes out on top.
Kyle Hart will start for the Padres against Ben Brown for the Cubs.
Another matchup of 2 pitchers trying to prove themselves.
The Rangers are calling up Kumar Rocker to make his MLB debut against the Rays' Drew Rasmussen.
That's going to be a must-see game. Rocker's one of the top prospects in baseball.
In Colorado, it's Joey Estes for the A's against Chase Dollander for the Rockies.
2 more young pitchers with a lot of potential.
Brian Wu will get the start for the Mariners against the Giants' Jordan Hicks.
Hicks has been lights out this season, so that'll be a tough one for Wu.
And finally, the Guardians and Angels will wrap up their series with Luis L. Ortiz on the mound for Cleveland against Tyler Anderson for Los Angeles.
So there you have it, folks. A full slate of Sunday baseball action with some great pitching matchups to look forward to.
And remember, for all your baseball needs, be sure to visit Planeta Béisbol at planeta-baseball.com and follow them on Twitter at Planeta Béisbol.
They do a fantastic job of covering the game and providing in-depth analysis.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. But before we go, I want to leave you with a thought.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
With so many rookies making their debuts and teams still figuring things out, what storyline are you going to be watching most closely today?
Yeah, what's got you hooked?
And what surprise performance or result could shake things up in these early days of the season?
Yeah, it could be a big upset brewing. You never know.
Think about it, enjoy the games, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world of baseball.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.